Good morning, YouTube. Welcome in. Today we got an absolute monster. Today we're building for our good friend Trey 24K, who is our newest inspo partner. Trey is about to have all the frames. We're starting today's build off with the 7800 XRD. It's one of the best CPUs right now on the market. We're pairing it with the B650 Carbon Motherboard Wi-Fi. This is one of the beautiful motherboards that comes out here on the AM5 platform. Looks absolutely stunning. Really good thermals. It looks really clean. Beautiful aesthetic. We're pairing with 32 gigs of 6,000 megahertz RAM. Give that AM5 7800 XRD the really tight timings that it likes. Putting it all in the beautiful 216 coming in from Lian. We're going with an all blackout aesthetic, but to give it a little bit of flair, a little bit of that red flair that I know Trey likes, we're going to put in some beautiful H150i cooler up top. We're going to top mount that. We're going to give it a little bit of red aesthetic there. And then on the RAM, which we have in the Delta RGB, we have a little bit of red as well. We're topping it all off with the beautiful RTX 4090. Not just any 4090, we're putting in the SUPRIM. So we've got a monster powerhouse CPU, we've got the monster powerhouse GPU. We're going to have all the frames, and we're powering it with a 1,000-watt MSI power supply. Let us know what you think down below in the comments. What do you want to see build next here on the channel? Make sure to catch us live any Monday, Wednesday, or Friday over at our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/dints at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we hope to see you soon. We're here over to the build station. Let's get started, guys. I am pumped to build this beautiful PC for Trey, and let's go. Look at all those beautiful parts. Let me get mic'd up. Let's get the music back going, and I'll see you guys over there in just a second.
Let's start off and go top down. Let's get started on today's build for Trey. All right, sockets looking good. Down and we go with the 7800 XRD. There we go. Down and in. Slash it down. There we go. All right, let's get this M.2 in next. 990 Pro. Plenty of speed, plenty of power at all. Trey's dual PC. So he's like, I just want the best frames. I want the best frames possible. Actually, you don't want to hear it? This is my Trey. Your Trey's gonna probably hate me for this. He's like, I want the best frames possible, brother. I was like, all right, we got it. All right, let's get actually, before we put the RAM in, we're gonna have standoffs in place. The standoffs today are gonna be for the H150i. Let's grab our factory retention clips and get these out of here. All we need is our RAM, and then we're gonna move on to the case. That's great. Julie, what's he gonna say when he hears that? All right, guys, got a RAM down and in. That is the beautiful Team Delta RGB 6000 CL30 RAM. B650 Carbon motherboard we got here. It's 7800 XRD down in the socket. We got our standoffs in place for the H150i. That's gonna be top mounted in the 216. We got our 990 Pro here in our primary NVMe slot. And then we got our, like I said, 32 gigs of 6000 CL30 Team Delta RGB RAM. Absolutely beautiful setup we got here for Trey. We're gonna slide this aside and we're gonna get the beautiful case out next. Get the front close up. Again, the 216. So we're doing blacked out with a little bit of RGB accents, okay? So you get that front close up. The great thing about the blackout version that it does come with two PWM 200mm fans in the front. So Trey's got all the juice and the airflow right there. You can see right there. He's got all the airflow and those beautiful big honking fans up front. And on top of that, we're gonna add a top mount, and he's got a 140 rear exhaust. So plenty of airflow in this case. My question for you, back when I was building my own PCs, late 90s and early 2000s, was super important to not build while you were on a rug. Yes, I wouldn't do that. Are you still concerned about this? Yeah, I would never build PCs on a rug. That's why if you ever see me back here, I'm touching the metal or I'm touching the case where I touch anything that has any kind of electrical or any kind of grounding. I always do that here. All right, guys, let's go top down and get started on this case. This motherboard down and in. This case seems quite cheap but well made. No, not at all. The Lian cases are fantastic. It's probably because it's not full of RGB. So Trey's not huge in RGB, he just wants performance. This case is one of the best bang for buck cases in terms of performance without having a ton of RGB. This is probably the best case, in my opinion, if you're not looking for RGB. The 216 is no exception there. I think 216 is one of the most undervalued cases on the market. All right, guys, get the motherboard screws down and in. Get this motherboard all secure. All right, guys, let's give you a front close-up of this build inside the case. Looking absolutely beautiful. We're gonna work on some of the front panel cables now. I was just moving some of the fan cables in, moving into the main harness. And move these in. We've got our system fan header 1 here. Next, we're gonna work on our USB Type-C and our USB 3.0 headers. First is gonna be our USB-C header. In we go. Next is gonna be our USB 3.0 header. You can go to the USB 3, all in. Last is gonna be our fan header, our last of our fans. That's our system fan headers. All these fans are PWM, so we want to make sure we run them through the motherboard so we can control them with the motherboard. All right, now we got these cables in. We're gonna work on tidying up all these cables, which we're gonna do right now. And then we're gonna move on to our power supply. All right, so all of our cables are ran, all tucked in, nice and neat. You can see right here, we got everything tucked in nice and neatly. Next, we're gonna move on to the power supply. 1,000 watts A1000G from MSI, great power supply from MSI. It's 1,000 watt gold, plenty of power for the system because obviously we know that we talked about before, the 7800 XTD is not a huge power hungry CPU. Really the main power being driven in this system is mostly going to be the GPU, which 1,000 watt gold to power these specs is more than enough. And honestly probably do it even on an 850. Beautiful MSI power supply. Let's grab our cables that we need. All right, today, CPU 1, 12 volt high power. We'll need SATA, it's going to power our iCUE with the Corsair cooler, 24 pin main motherboard, and last but not least will be our secondary EPS, which is our CPU header. All these other cables we're going to put back in the bag. All right, in we go with the power supply, chat. Slide this in, and we're going to get connected. I would say the one thing I really enjoy about the 216 is really good cable management and clips built in. So if you don't really want to use zip ties, you've got really good standoffs to actually be able to support the cables and make them look really clean. And it does a really good job. All right, before we get the 24 pin main motherboard in, we're going to drop in our front panel connection as well as our rear HD audio. So for up and in we go with the front panel connection. They're here. This will be all of our power, LED, everything they see on the front panel can connect to turn on the computer. That's down and in. Next, we're going to work on our HD audio. Will you run the power cables above or below the GPU? Typically on a bigger GPU like today, we're going to run them below. Above would be something if you had like a flat panel cable, but these 12 volt high power cables we're using today are not a flat. So I'd recommend definitely going with a below. There we go, up and in we go with that front panel HD audio. Now that that's connected, chat, we're going to move on to our 24 pin main motherboard. Up and in we go. Spin her around and get her plugged in. That's our 24 pin main motherboard. Nice, we got the seating click, we got it all in. Start working on the cooler, chat. Again, H150i coming in from Corsair. Phenomenal cooling. There we go. All our fans are mounted. I'm gonna give you the rear cable manager view, chat. Over the shoulder here. Next, before we get this going, we're gonna work on the pump. All right. Pump is on. Let's go getting this mounted and screwed in. There's a lot of thermal blades out here. Honestly, you're gonna get like a couple degrees max on this. In gaming, you're really gonna notice it more in like, really not so much in gaming, you're gonna see it more in like when you're doing heavy CPU loads. So like the pace they put on here from factory, usually more often than not, is more than sufficient. That's why we use it. I mean, like the H150Is that we're getting are right off the shelf from Corsair, so they're pretty good. The pace is still tacky. It's not dried up, so it's more than sufficient. Really, when you're gonna wanna have a lot of thermal paste is when you're reapplying here after owning the PC for a few years. That's where the big need for reapplying a good thermal paste is gonna be. Anywhere from 6 to 10 months after you've owned the PC. Usually you can reapply it then if you're starting to see any kind of thermal changes. There we go, looking good. All right, before we get started on this, we have to work on these little fan cables in the back right here. We're gonna work on these. All right, up and in we go with the cooler. There we go, all right. All right, let's get 2 screws in to hold it off center, and then we'll start working on the rest of them. We turn this sideways now so you can get a better front angle of it. Let's start getting the rest of these all in. What's the best AO for AM5? Honestly, this one or the L2 or LS from Deepcool, in my opinion, yeah. I would say if you're gonna be building on these platforms, you're gonna wanna be on either a Deepcool or you're gonna be on a Corsair cooler. Honestly, it depends on what CPU you're looking at, because you won't even need the 280. The LTs and the 240s can cool 13.7. So the 13.7 is toasty. You can cool 1200K. Those LS coolers and LT coolers are phenomenal for the price. Absolutely phenomenal for the price. Moving on to just the USB and the SATA before we move on to the GPU. We're actually almost done with this build. Is Trey in the chat? Plug in our USB for a commander. What left is a GPU. MSI SUPRIM. Whew. I'm gonna say the Gaming X. No. Today we have the SUPRIM. Beautiful. SUPRIM X coming in from MSI. There she is. Look at that behemoth of a GPU today for Trey. Here we go, SUPRIM. I mean, honestly, the way they just packaged the card too. I told Trey I had a SUPRIM for him and he was like, yo. So there it is. SUPRIM is like literally kingpin. I mean, he's even got a brand new mouse pad. What are we saying? I mean, you know Trey's gonna use that for probably like a gun mat, so. He's like, that's a good pistol cleaning mat, you know? What are your thoughts on the i9 1400K versus 1300K? So there's a couple of things we've seen so far. The 1400Ks can boost higher, but they have actually inferior IMC. So honestly, I think right now the best play is going to be either getting the 1300K on a deal and avoiding the 1400K, because I made the prediction a while back, our team did. The 1400K is not all souped out, it was not all hyped out like it was going to be. And I would say if you're going to go 1400K and take advantage of the boost rates that are slightly better than the 1300K, you're going to want to like 6400 megahertz RAM, because that's all it's really doing well with. In we go. Look at that thing. Ready? Here we go. A little clunk. Stare you right in your eyes as we clunk it in. That happened. Gee, I'm messing with you. Look at that, dude. That thing's a chonker. That tray. Slide this down. So 12-volt high power cable. A little too much there. Just plugged in, nice and secure in the power supply. And up we go with this chonker, chat. Up we go with the chonker. In we go. Well, the 12-volt high power cable. Nice, good seat. There we go. Good easy GPU bracket. Yeah, most likely we'll put it in for Trey. We're just gonna boot it up. There's the cable. You see the front side, the back side, all cable managed, ready to go. There we go. Let's get ready to boot it up. Can we get an exclamation point light up from Trey himself in the chat?
Guys, thanks for coming in and liking another video here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button, help us with the algorithm. Make sure people find us and see all the beautiful PCs we build. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button as well. Remember, we build these systems live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/stints. Come on over, hang out, chat it up with us, watch us build beautiful PCs for everybody in the community. And remember, let's go.